Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Grief Drums, and today we're going to be talking about the future of Arma and consoles. So I want to start off as a precursor to all of this by saying this is not a slight on console players at all. I personally was a console player for many years, and I only moved to PC probably 4 or 5 years ago, so I know what it's like, and I know what it's like to want games that are maybe more complex and tactical and things like that. So I want to just start by saying this is not having a dig at console players. But with the release of Arma Reforger yesterday, it's become apparent that the Arma series is moving towards console and trying to include console players, specifically the Xbox Series X and S. And straight away, this seems to have divided the community. There's a lot of people that are PC players saying, look, this isn't going to work. It's not going to happen. You shouldn't be doing this. You're just doing it for more money and all that kind of aspect. And then on the other side of the coin, there are the console players that are saying, finally, I get to experience Arma. But here's the rub. You're not really experiencing Arma, at least not from what I've seen so far. Now, I was lucky enough to get early access by Bohemia, and I've been under NDA for a little while, and it's been really eating me up because I wanted to talk about this so much. But the long and short of it is, the game feels like it's been designed with console in mind, which is good if you're trying to port to consoles, which I guess Bohemia are. But it doesn't really feel like Arma. Now, one of the main selling points of Arma was the fact that it was so complex. The sheer volume of keybinds you need were incredible, so a keyboard really suited that. Couple that with the fact that people were releasing mods, and the majority of Arma players then installed those mods to make the keybinds even more complex through the use of mods like Ace or TFAR, in which you're not only just utilizing the keybinds that were built into the game, but you're adding so many more that all then conflict with each other, and it was a mess. But that is kind of the authentic Arma experience, and that's something that a lot of people actually really enjoy, which sounds counterintuitive, I know, making it even more complicated, but it is part of the experience. Arma is not a simple game. It's not Squad, it's not Hell Let Loose. This is a beast, and it's something that is almost a little bit intimidating to first get into, but once you do, the complexities behind it enable it to be such an incredible game. For Arma 3, the radio mod TFAR, for example, that I utilize on my server, it allows short-range and long-range radios to be used so that you can communicate over distance. Now, a short-range radio will only obviously work over a short range, and subsequently you sometimes need to carry a short-range radio that's plumbed into 2 different frequencies so that you can communicate with your own squad and a base of fire. And then as a squad leader, you will also need to carry a long-range radio to communicate with other teams. So, for example, air assets, other ground forces, or your command element. Now, just to utilize those alone, you would have to use caps lock to speak over short range. I have to use Control and T to speak over my alternate short range frequency. I have to use Control and caps lock to speak over the long range. And then you've got alternate frequencies for long range. Further to that, you can set up quick channels on the radios. So using the numpad, you can change between different channels. So if you're talking to command and you want to utilize a different long-range frequency for air assets or your JTAC, you can then change that quickly. Alternatively, you could open up the actual radio itself by pressing Alt and P for the long range, and then you would have to click and physically plumb in all of the information. So, for example, the long-range frequency that you're using, you could change it so you could have the speaker in just one ear, so your long range, you know that that's the long-range radio coming through because it's only in one ear. Now, with all this complexity, you start to look at the console and you think, well, okay, how many buttons has a console really got? You've got the initial 4 on the top, you've got your 4 over on the right-hand thumb, your D-pad, and then you've got your analog sticks. You can start then, I suppose, doing radial menus through holding buttons, like if you were to hold Y or hold LB and press Y, it'll do something different. So there are different combinations, but there is a finite amount. You're probably talking about 10% of the sheer volume of keys compared to a PC. So as a result, something's got to give. You have to start adjusting the way the game plays and the way that you interact with things inside of the game. So, for example, Arma Reforger has released with its own version of TFAR, its own radio. And to use that, you go ahead and press G and then use your scroll wheel, or I'm assuming if you're on console, you're going to use your analog stick or D-pad to move up and down in the frequency. But you're going to have one short-range radio. If you want to change frequencies to speak to a different team, you can't just set it and have an alternate frequency. You're going to have to physically go and change the radio frequency you're on, then speak, and it just comes across as a little bit clunky, if I'm brutally honest with you. You can't just speak over short range and then long range. You have to change to the long range and then try speaking. While you're using the long range, you're then not on short range, so you can miss any communications from your team. If you're back onto the short range, you're then not getting any long range info from your command or from the air assets. Now, Arma for me is a beast. You know, very often if I'm squad leading, I will have people talking in local chat, people talking on short range and the long range radio all at the same time. And you're trying to juggle all these different things, and that's what makes it enjoyable. Your brain is on the go consistently, and it really does make it so you have to be involved. You can't just run around. It's not a casual experience. It's not something you very often just sort of jump on and play. It is more revolves around like set nights where everybody jumps on together to make sure you've got loads of people and everyone's in it. It makes it just a different game entirely. Now, this isn't the first time that Bohemia have attempted to port something to console, and it's not the first time something on PC has been ported to console. If you look at games like DayZ or Hell Let Loose, things like that, they've all moved across to console. Whether it quite offers the same experience, I don't think it does. On the plus side, if a game is on console, it's usually pretty well optimized for PC, which is a nice sort of thing to have. But as it currently stands, I am a little bit concerned. I'll be 100% honest with you, I am a little bit concerned. I don't mind the game going to console. I'm just worried that by doing so, Arma could lose what it is that makes it Arma. When we start looking into things like mods, as and when people start creating mods for the game, they're gonna have to do it with console in mind, otherwise half of them won't even copy across. You're then going to start dividing the community even more, where console players aren't able to play because PC players are using certain mods that enable certain functionality that just wouldn't cut across to console. I don't get how that's going to work. Now, Arma 4 isn't here yet. This is Arma Reforger, and this is a stepping stone to Arma 4. Perhaps this is just a test the water sort of deal, or perhaps this is a case of Bohemia are really trying to see how they can get this to work for Arma 4, and they're fine-tuning the console adaptation within this version of the game. The stepping stone idea is really nice. Quite how that's going to cut across, I don't know, because obviously when Arma 4 does release, is Arma Reforger, is anyone going to play that? I mean, surely it's just going to drop by the wayside. Perhaps in the end, Reforger stays as the console version of the game, and Arma 4 goes on to just be PC. I don't know. I can't see Bohemia planning like that, honestly, but I kind of hope that's the case. We are in early access at the minute, so the game doesn't have its full functionality, but at the minute it just feels a little bit lacking. I think some of the Zeus menus and things like that, or the Game Master menu as they're currently referred to, it feels like it's been made with console in mind. And because of that, it loses a lot of the functionality on PC, I find. Previously, you would just have lists down the side and you'd be able to quickly select what you want and, you know, copy and paste if you wanted to. Because of console, you can't do that. There is no copy and paste unless you start functioning that onto a specific keybind, which again, it just doesn't seem to fit. It doesn't feel right. Maybe I'm just being mega negative about this, and I don't want to be. I don't want to come across as being negative, because this is just something that I've been thinking about a little bit, and this is based purely off of my interaction with the game and how it felt playing it. So maybe I'm just alone on this, but I'm keen to hear others' thoughts. Let me know down in the comments what you think. Do you think that Arma should be on console, or do you kind of see where I'm coming from here and think, well, maybe it's not quite the right game to be porting? I mean, I know a lot of other companies in the past have taken games from extremely sort of milsim to very sort of casual to try and accommodate as many people as possible, whilst games like Tarkov have outright just ignored people's outcry to say, you know, I want to play on my console, and they've said, look, it's too complex, it wouldn't work, it's just not gonna happen. In my mind, I kind of feel like Arma has to go that way, otherwise it's losing what it is. I appreciate I've waffled for quite some time here, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. But again, let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please consider hitting the thumbs up. If you don't already, make sure to subscribe for all things Arma. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, have a good one.